As you begin to notice the way your thoughts shift, the way awareness moves, you might wonder, when did you last listen, truly listen to your body? Because the body is always speaking, always whispering its truth. And yet so many people, maybe even you, have spent years caught in the noise of the mind, racing ahead, trying to think faster and faster, as if thinking more could somehow solve everything. But isn't it interesting? The more one chases thought, the more it runs. And yet the moment you slow down, the moment you listen, everything becomes clear. And what if, just for a moment, you could stop trying? What if letting go was the key to going further? The more you try to force something, the more resistance there is. But the moment you release, everything flows, effortlessly, naturally, just like breathing. And speaking of breathing, you may have noticed, when people get caught up in overthinking, they stop breathing deeply. Isn't that fascinating? The mind tightens, the breath shortens, the body is ignored. But right now, as you hear this, you might already be breathing a little deeper, feeling a little more connected, a little more present, because after all, isn't the body your oldest, most trusted friend? It's been with you since the beginning, guiding you, supporting you, waiting patiently for you to finally listen. And what happens when you start listening, truly listening? You might discover that the body holds secrets, insights, wisdom beyond thought. And the more you integrate your heart, mind, body mind, and cognitive mind, the stronger you become, the sharper your instincts, the clearer your reality. Because when all parts of you align, you enter a state of flow, where life itself becomes effortless. And maybe you've noticed all those old beliefs, the ones that kept you trapped, the ones that made you suppress your emotions, disconnect, shut down. They were never really yours to begin with. You adopted them. You imposed them. And what's imposed can be released. And isn't it freeing to realise, by letting go of these limits, you open up to infinite possibilities? Now here's something curious. Have you ever seen someone so grounded in their own reality, so absolutely committed to their own version of the world, that it becomes infectious, that their certainty overrides doubt? What if you became that person? Because the more you hold your ground, the more you maintain your composure, the more unshakable you become. And the more unshakable you become, the more influence you have. And you may already be realising that this shift is happening now. That the old fears of rejection, of expressing yourself, of speaking your truth, they're dissolving. Because isn't it true? People don't remember what you say. They remember how you make them feel. And as you step into this new way of being, you make people feel something real, something powerful. So now as you think about all this, or maybe you feel it instead, you might begin to ask yourself, what's changing now? What's unlocking in you? What do you notice when you stop thinking so much and simply be? Because when you think about it, or even if you don't, isn't it fascinating how the more you let go, the further you go? And I wonder, what do you think now? Because you might start to wonder, where did it begin? That quiet drifting away, that slow separation between thought and body, between feeling and knowing, between what's real and what's imagined. Maybe it was a moment. Maybe it was a series of moments. Maybe it happened so gradually you didn't even notice until now. And isn't it interesting how the mind tries to hold on to rules, to limits, to beliefs that once felt necessary? Because at some point you'll learn to control, to suppress, to hold back. Maybe to be safe, maybe to be accepted, maybe because it was easier than feeling. But what happens when you start to notice those rules, those limits, those beliefs? They were never really yours to begin with. Because right now, something is shifting. Right now, something is unlocking. Right now, the body is speaking. And for the first time in a long time, you're listening. And what happens when you listen? You might begin to notice the subtle language of sensation, the way your body whispers, the way it calls you back, with a feeling, a breath, a heartbeat. And maybe for the first time you realise your body has always been your greatest ally. The one thing that has never left you. The one thing that's been waiting patiently for you to return. And isn't it fascinating how the more you slow down, the clearer everything becomes? Because after all, isn't clarity found in the silence between thoughts, in the space between breaths? And as you think about that now, or maybe feel it instead, you might start to realise the more you listen, the more alive you become. The more you acknowledge, the more powerful you feel. The more you embrace what is, the more limitless you become. Because all those old fears of speaking, of expressing, of being seen, they were never real. They were illusions, traps of the mind. And now they're dissolving. And isn't it exciting to realise that every belief, every rule, every limit you imposed upon yourself can be rewritten? That the moment you let go of control, you gain it. That the moment you release resistance, you become unstoppable. When you think about it, or even if you don't, isn't it fascinating how the more you let go, the further you go? And I wonder, what do you notice now?